Durant just diced through the defense on this one. The authority of the throwdown when he's got the ball in his hands, it is live, and that was your Bigelow T dunk of the game.
How about the Land Rover drives of the game?
The Nets had an opportunity to see their new quarterback, and James Harden was dropping dimes. The get-aheads in transition, the ease of which he was putting it right on the spot for his teammates, leading them to some early offense buckets. And man, it was pretty on time, on target. James Harden with your Land Rover drives of the game.
That wraps it up from Barclays Center. Once again, the final score, the Nets 122, the Magic 115. Join us again on Wednesday when the Nets visit the Cleveland Cavaliers. Our coverage begins at 6:30 with a pregame game time just after 7 o'clock. For Sarah Kustok, Michael Grady, our entire Yes Network crew, I'm Ian Eagle. The new look Nets get their third straight win. Ryan Richard in the postgame starts now.
Thanks so much, Ian. The Nets take care of the Magic 122-115. The final as we welcome you to the Brooklyn Nets post-game show. Ryan Ruocco with you, live from Barclays Center, joined by Richard Jefferson, who is at his home in Los Angeles. Richard, Harden, Durant, we know it's a stars league, and wow, was their performance special tonight. What stood out most to you about the win in Harden's debut?
Congratulations, Nets fans. Congratulations. You don't know how long these moments last. You don't know when they come and when they go. But what stood out to me is that this team, when healthy, is going to be a problem. Now, do they have every single thing that is needed in order to be considered, you know, the favorite or a team that's guaranteed to go to the finals? No, they have work to do. But boy, when I tell you that the entire league looking around seeing James Harden all of a sudden wake up and get 14 assists in his debut, to see Kevin Durant go for 42. And this is what I like. Kevin Durant is a scorer. Kyrie Irving, even though he is a point guard, is also a scorer. But what you know with James Harden is that he has led the league in assists. So he knows how to get himself involved. He knows how to get some teammates involved. So when everyone's talking about, okay, well, who's going to handle the ball? Who's going to do this? I think James Harden really running that point and allowing Kyrie and KD to be just dominant scorers and him being the person that kind of navigates his game, I think that could be a real problem.
Well, I mean, no question about it. And, Richard, I think that was one of the things that stood out most, right? First few possessions out of the gate, Harden was all about distributing, you know, breaking down his performance tonight as we take a look, Richard, what you see from James Harden.
Well, again, that's what I was looking at. I was looking at, I said the role players, and I love what Joe Harris did. I love seeing Bruce Brown, that play late in the game where it was Harden to Durant. Then all of a sudden, Durant makes the right play and throws it to a wide-open Bruce Brown. Those are the guys that have to knock down shots when you look at championship teams. It's the Bruce Brown. It's the Joe Harris, because you know the stars are going to get attention. And with James Harden, Kyrie, these are guys that entire defenses, a team spends their entire practice and focus, how do we stop James Harden? How do we stop Kevin Durant? When they were on individual teams, now you have all three of them on the same team. It's going to be nearly impossible. They are going to be getting more single coverage than they have ever had. For Kevin Durant, a guy that played with the Splash Brothers, now all of a sudden he's got the a very, very similar spacing because you have so many quality players. And James Harden, again, it just goes down to his assists. His assists are the things that are going to make this team run.
Well, 32 points, 14 assists, 12 rebounds. You add in 4 steals as well. Did have 9 turnovers. And I like that that was one of the first things he brought up to Michael Grady in his post-game interview, saying, I got to clean up the turnovers. But, Richard, I think what was so striking, and we've already talked about it some, was, you know, people have seen James Harden play a certain way in Houston over the last couple of years. And so there have been conversations about, dribbling the air out of the basketball, how they're going to continue to get everyone involved. But these players wanted this, which obviously shows their inclination to want to do whatever they have to win. And James Harden has shown that ability to play make. And it's not just that he has the skills to do it, Richard. There's the buy-in now to not play the way he was in Houston and to access more of those playmaking abilities. And we saw that already in Game 1.
Ryan, I 100% agree with you. What you have to do is you have to look around the league sometimes. And James Harden has led the league in assists. And then as his team and the dynamic of his team started to change, he then started to be like, okay, it's 34 points a game. Look at a guy like LeBron James. You add Anthony Davis on his team, and what does he do? He goes and leads the league in assists at 10 a game. I really think that James Harden, even though we're in the very beginning of the season, could lead the league in assists if he chooses to play that way. And so when you ask James, like, James, what is your goal? Sometimes it's to be the leading scorer. Sometimes it's to be the MVP. These guys that are on this tier, when you talk about Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden and LeBron James, they can adjust their game. It's all a matter about what they want to do on the basketball floor. So if you tell James, like, James, we need you to average 25 and 10, or we need to average 26 and 11, he can go and do that, and pretty much with ease, especially with the arsenal around him. So I think this was a quick message to everyone on this team, everyone in this league, that, look, they're going to be able to move the ball. They're going to be able to score. The next step that we're going to be talking about is how do they play that high-level team defense that's going to be needed when you're talking about the postseason.
You know, Richard, during the game, I thought Sarah had a very poignant and simultaneously funny remark when she said, it feels like Kevin Durant is a veteran here now with all the attention on James Harden, the newcomer, and it sort of does, but you watch the performance tonight and you realize, yeah, it's still new and it's still special to watch his greatness in all of its glory.
I stand by this fact, especially now that you see that Kevin Durant is 100% healthy. You see that James Harden might have been embellishing maybe, his conditioning and maybe his weight a little bit in Houston. Ultimately, the Nets have 3 of the top 10 players in the NBA, in my opinion. And so when you put these 3 players on the court together with a varying degree of skill, right? They can all handle the ball. They can all score one-on-one. They can all do so many different things. I think it's going to be interesting. And one point that I will add, when you have the 3 of them, the relationship with the media can be a bit difficult in the New York area. But when you have 3 superstars that are able to split the responsibility, these are something that people don't think about. It could be one day where James like, hey guys, I got it. KD, hey, you guys go take a break, I got it. Kyrie, step up, was like, hey, you guys take it. So a lot of it is not just a responsibility that's going to be split on the court, but a lot of it too is the responsibility that can be split off the court and can allow guys to kind of decompress and not have so much media attention all the time.
Well, Durant, 42 points, a season high, most in a game since Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals back on May 4th, 2019. 16 of 26 from the floor at 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He's talked about wanting to clean up the turnovers as well. He had 6 of them tonight. But we saw that last highlight there, Richard, where he fed Bruce Brown, who's apparently has the clutch gene based on what we've seen from Bruce Brown in the fourth quarter over these last couple of weeks. But how about that, Richard? How about the way the rest of this team is able to play off of Durant and James Harden?
Yeah, and I'm going to include a guy like Landry Shamet, and I think there's going to be a lot of attention on Jeff Green, and rightfully so. You already saw some of those smaller lineups that they were playing with where Jeff Green is at, I would say, kind of the 4-5. Kevin Durant is 7 foot. He's at the 4-5. And when you're talking about size, you're talking about James Harden at 6'6". That could be your point guard, your 2-guard, your 3-man, whatever position that you need. So that's going to be key for them. If they're able to shore up their defense, and like I said, they don't have to be a top 5 defense, not with this type of offense. Yes, it would be great to be a top 5 defense, but if they can hover somewhere between the 10 and 15 range and limit their turnovers, again, be top 10 in the league in turnovers and not 18th, not 22nd. If they could be right there at like 10 or 11, be a 10 to 15 type defense with the offensive firepower that you have on this roster, they're going to be a force. But that's going to be the number one thing, their chemistry when things get tight and their ability to play defense and not turn over the ball. If they can do those 2 things, not turn over the ball and play like solid defense, I tell you what, it is going to be problems.
Richard's going to hop out of retirement and put on a jersey just so he can get another ring. Is that what I'm sensing, Richard? No. 7th player with a triple-double in a team debut all time. First ever to have a 30-point triple-double. You see the Nets triple-doubles since the 2012-2013 season. Karis LeVert with one, Kyrie Irving, and D'Angelo Russell the others. As we welcome you back to the Brooklyn Nets post-game show, Ryan Rucco, Richard Jefferson with you. You know, Richard, you talked earlier about the other guys and the opportunities they will get as a result of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and eventually Kyrie Irving being on the floor. And one of those guys is Joe Harris, who is going to have more space than he's ever had in his career, and we saw some of that tonight.
Oh, yeah. Joe Harris is definitely going to be one of the guys that gets an opportunity to eat. Why? Because all of the superstars that the Nets have are very good passers. They are all used to being able to get shooters involved because they know that look, Kevin Durant didn't even look at the rim there. He just wanted to get to Joe right on the money very, very quickly. And look, even though Joe had a little bit of a tweak ankle, we know that Beef Jerky Joe is going to get up. He's going to go in there, rub some dirt on it, some Sasquatch spit, and he's going to be fine. Look, first play back, 7 seconds in, knocks down a 3. There's nothing that my man Joe Harris can't do.
That Lake Chelan, Washington dirt to heal the ankle. You see the shot chart for Joe Harris, 6 of 11 from the floor, 17 points for Jolton Joe. Take a look at the game summary from tonight's action. The Nets putting up 38 points in the fourth quarter to break away. Nikola Vucevic, always an issue for Brooklyn, had a monster game. Harden, the 32, 12, and 14, 4 steals as well. How about Durant? A season-high 42 points, and Brooklyn has its first 3-game winning streak of the season. Time to hear from Nets head coach Steve Nash with the media, including our Michael Grady.
Coach, just can you give us an idea of what you liked just from James Harden's performance out there and what it was like incorporating him into everything that you guys did today?
Well, he stuffed the stat sheet. Wow, almost a quadruple-double. But, I mean, obviously James is a brilliant basketball player, and we got to incorporate him, find a way to make this thing gel and put him in a position to do what he does and for him to make each of our guys better. But he, got to the line 15 times. He made threes, 12 rebounds, 14 assists, 4 steals. We know what he is. He's a world-class basketball player. So we'll continue to build and get better and try to figure this out where everyone is, a threat and we make each other better.
Michael Grady with Yes Network.
And Coach, in what ways did James exceed your expectations in a debut?
Well, I just think, he's had obviously a very strange start to the season, stop-start year. He's not in his best condition yet. So for him to do as many things as he did on the basketball floor tonight was incredible. And, it's great to get one under his belt and for him to kind of, feel his teammates in the building, and we'll just keep building. But he was, incredible for a guy who, like I said, is just trying to get himself in shape.
And the guys, around him and guys making plays, Bruce Brown, the big three late, there's going to be a lot of talk about, Kyrie, Kevin, and James. But, how important are those other guys on the roster?
Well, it can't just be, your top guy, your top 2, your top 3 guys. You got to play team basketball. Everyone's got to be a threat. Everyone's got to play their role, know their role. And so those are things we have to figure out. But, I thought I was exceptional tonight, Joe played well, Bruce played well, Jeff gave us some important veteran experience, and you go down the line and guys contributed. So it was I think a game that could have gone the other way. It took us a while to find it and to pull away, but it wasn't clean at all. It wasn't easy, but that's a tribute to their team, and but we got a lot to build on.
Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Hey, Steve, it's obvious it's only one game, short sample size, but I mean, when James says, well, I'm going to facilitate and I'm going to pass and I'm going to make my teammates better and do all those things, it's different from saying it to actually going out and doing it. How encouraging was it for you to see the way he threaded passes, the way he rebounded, the way he did all of those things that he was saying he was going to?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. We've had a pretty big sample size of him doing that the last 6 to however many years he's been in the league. But it's not easy. You know, like we said, he's not in his best condition yet. He's joined a new group, with basically no practice time and figured it out on the fly. So, I think, he had a bunch of turnovers tonight that are just because he's new to the team and group, and you're thrown out there in an NBA game where the other team's an excellent coach basketball team, and they're going to scheme and they're going to make it difficult. And so those types of things are normal. But all the things he did accomplish on the floor were incredible for his first evening.
Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Hey, Steve, I have 2 for you. First, when you were watching from the sidelines, could you see, oh, yes, I see how Kyrie's going to fit in here. Boom, it's going to be easy. Or were you looking at it saying, okay, maybe there's some things that we're going to have to grow and adjust to fit him in here too?
I think we're going to have to continually find how it all works to its best level, to the most effective and efficient standard. But, like throwing Kyrie in the mix makes us better. It's a good problem to have, trying to figure out, where they can coexist to their highest level and standard. So I think it takes time. I think it's going to be an adjustment for everyone, but it's an incredible problem to have and something that I think we'll relish trying to decipher.
And secondly, there was a moment where, Kevin kicks out to Bruce Brown. You have James Harden, all smiles. Was this, where did this rank in terms of fun that you've had coaching a game this year? Because it sure looked like the players were enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I think everyone was excited. It's obviously you bring a player of James' caliber and his excitement to be here, and everyone was excited. And it's been a fun few days. As far as the performance, gosh, my head is spinning. Who did we play 3 nights ago? No, three games ago at home. A very good team. Denver. We played Denver. That was a fun evening. We played in New York and had an excellent short staff game where guys moved the ball, played together, and then tonight again, found a way to win. So it's been a fun few games for us, and we needed them. We need to build. We need some positive energy because, we've had some difficult times this year as well. And but tonight, we guys enjoying what they do.
Ian Begley with SNY.
It's Steve. Just I guess over the last couple of days and then moving forward, how much do you lean on or will you lean on Mike D'Antoni in terms of getting to know James's game and how best to implement him?
Well, I think it's, an invaluable resource. I think it'd be silly not to really, lean on Mike for all of his experience with James and their familiarity and how and what James likes and how he works best. So, those are conversations that I'll have with James, but we'll all have as a group and a staff. And Mike, obviously, with his insight and his relationship with James is invaluable.
And last question will go to Mark Mendina with USA Today.
Yes, Steve, good to see you. What a pregame about how adaptable and versatile Kevin is. When you worked with him in Golden State, what were your takeaways with how he was able to apply that in that group and fit in with those personalities, and how do you see that applying here?
Yeah, I think Kevin's the most adaptable because of his versatility. He can pretty much play anywhere on the floor. He can play without the ball. He can play with the ball. He can play in the post, elbow, nail, out handling. So, I think for Kevin, it's the easiest transition in that he's quite happy to move around and play different roles. So, and he also has that Golden State experience. So, having to play with other great players and that ability to share for the betterment of the group. So we'll lean on Kevin for that. He's been through it, and he, handled it with incredible success.
Thanks so much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Amongst the things that Steve Nash touched on there, Richard, he talked early about how, James has kind of had this strange season. It's probably in part led to him not being in his best game condition, and yet can still go out there and do all the things that he was able to do tonight.
Yeah, now he can. Now, is that something that's sustainable? Like, everyone in basketball knows that in order to really make a run at a championship, I don't care how talented you are, you need to be 100% locked in. Your body has to be in peak physical condition. So, yes, they were able to come out here against Orlando, and this is what we talked about in the pregame. When you can have the second or third best defender on your team guarding a James Harden, like you look at it tonight, there was Cole Anthony, a rookie, guarding him in the post. Just for a lack of options. Obviously, Orlando's dealing with some injuries, but you can just see the mismatches that are going to be everywhere, even when teams have a full roster. So James Harden has to get in his best shape. He knows that. The league knows that. The world knows that. That's not a big deal, because if you try and do this 40 minutes and try and do this, if you're 10 pounds over, if you're 5 pounds over, your body has an opportunity to break down, and that's not what he wants, especially when you're trying to get into a championship type space. And so I think it's going to be key for them to really bring him in, not necessarily with the gameplay, but also making sure that slowly but surely he starts to get to where he needs to be able to maintain these type of performances, because a lot of things you could do purely off adrenaline. There was a lot of smiles, there was a lot of fun, there was a lot of adrenaline, but once you get 20, 30, 40 games in, if you're not in that peak condition.
Pipes, they sounded unbelievable in this building all night, but maybe the jerseys threw them off?
Yeah, the jerseys fell off, and I'm not going to give Bill any heat. You know why? Because Bill used to referee me when I was in high school. He used to referee Channing. He was an Arizona guy from Phoenix, so whenever we see each other, we used to have a lot of laughs and talk about how far we've come from him refereeing me in Glendale, Arizona, to now him calling out the wrong name in Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So he gets a pass. It's okay. Look, everybody does it. I promise you, even though it's been in Brooklyn for a few years, all the people that played so many years in New Jersey, all the New Jersey fans, everyone accidentally slips up. You're allowed one or two of those.
Especially when you're delivering replay reviews as beautifully as he was all night. He might have a future in some voiceover work. We want to take a look at our stat of the night. James Harden, Kevin Durant combined 74 points this evening, most ever in a game as teammates. Played 3 years together in OKC, had not played together since 2012. Time to hear from Kevin Durant.
Kevin, I know you know his game well, but just your assessment of James Harden in his debut, his first game with the team, and how he looked.
Man, it was incredible. You could see him trying to figure out the best way to play early on. I felt like we all were overpassing, trying to make everybody comfortable, and then he just got into his mode of, being aggressive to score, and that opened up the whole game for all of us. So, glad he got his feet up under him, and he's got to keep plugging away, keep getting better each day.
Was there an increased, I know he's new, and of course you're going to do a lot of talking there, but kind of increased communication across the board with the team so that you guys are locked in at the task at hand?
Yeah, I mean, you got James, myself, Jeff, DJ out there, Joe, guys who've been in the league for a while. I think all of us, on the same page and communicating what we need from each other on the defensive side of the ball, especially on offense. I think we were moving and flowing a little bit on offense, based off our communication. We didn't have a play coming across half and guys were talking guys through actions, and same on the defensive side of the ball. So we're only going to get better at that, and it's going to take some time for us to build up that consistency of how we want to play on both ends, but it was a good step.
Greg Logan with Newsday.
KD, during his introductory press conference, James was asked what part of his game he needed to improve or emphasize or whatever. He said playmaking. And he in Houston, he kind of pounded the ball. But tonight, he moved the ball. And there were moments where when you and he and Harris were moving the ball, the defense was paralyzed. What do you think this kind of debut does for him? What message does it send in terms of sacrifice and how he's willing to play and yet be able to still step up and score?
Yeah, I mean, James, he played the same way he always played, to be honest. I mean, he played the same way he was playing in Houston, handling the basketball, being a pass-first guard, trying to get his guys good looks. He played the same way. And, coach put him at the point. I think that's his natural position, to be honest, his point and, off guard, combo guard. And, for him to come out and get 14 assists, 12 rebounds for us at the point guard was key.
Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Stephen, you and James have, 7 scoring titles between you, and Kai probably hit the most iconic shot in the last 10 years. I mean, when you have 3 guys that are so accustomed to leading teams, getting late buckets, big shots, what's the biggest key to making sure that all 3 of you can be as good or as dominant as you're accustomed to being, but still keep the main thing?
Well, understand it's more than just us 3 on this basketball team. We're going to need Joe Harris to continue to knock down shots, TLC. We'll need DeAndre to roll to the rim hard, and our bigs to come in and help set screens and rebound. And so I think it's a group effort, and that's going to open up the floor for all of us. And it's having high IQ guys who are unselfish, who want to make the extra passes. We'll see how it plays out. Each game is different. I think we want to approach each game with that attitude of just all of us being who we are and being aggressive, but being on one string, and we'll see how it goes.
Alex Schiffer with The Athletic.
Hey, Kevin, obviously you and James have kept in touch and worked out together over the years, but it's been a while since you two were in an official NBA game together. Does the rapport you two have with each other kind of translate pretty quickly, given your ties, or did it take a couple of sessions for that to really get in full swing?
No, I mean, like I said, having veteran guys and being in the league for so long, you didn't worked on so many different schemes and offensive actions. You kind of know how to play the game. And, it's not just me and James. Jeff's the same way. DJ's the same way. Kyrie's the same way. Guys that have been in the league for almost 10-plus years where, we could just sometimes we don't even have to speak to know what we're thinking. And guys are, just understand each other. And we've been studying each other for so long, scouting each other for so long. So that IQ is just there. It's only going to get better.
Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Hey, Kevin, you had 42 tonight. At what point did you feel like, yeah, all right, I've got this. I've found my rhythm here after getting off to a little bit of an up and down start really early on?
Yeah, I mean, missing shots I felt like I got to my spots. I think it was a matter of time before I started to knock them down. And I got some great screens tonight from DJ and the bigs, and James set me up nice, and my teammates set me up nice. But I just felt comfortable, and I'm getting better, getting more comfortable each game. And
Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey, Kevin, obviously you and James and Kyrie can score, but another part of you guys' games is that you guys are high IQ, and you kind of can tell what a defense is going to do before they do it. How do you think that is going to help guys like Joe, guys like DeAndre out there when the defense really can't afford the double because either it's going to be a lob or Joe's going to be open for a 3?
Yeah, I can't wait till we have our full team together and seeing where we can create shots for shooters, seeing how we can get our bigs some easy points in the paint. But it's going to be tough for anybody to double us, especially out at the three-point line. And teams may trap us in the pick and roll, but we got guys that can make good plays on that back end. And, but you're going to get your best shot from everybody. Like tonight, these guys felt like they didn't miss a shot in the second half, So we're going to get the best shot from everybody, but it's about us every single night and, how we can continue to just keep putting out good energy on both ends of the floor.
Jen Williams with Fox 5 New York.
Hey, Kevin, did you get a chance to talk with James after the game, and what was that conversation like?
No, it was just good win, good game. Let's get back to practice tomorrow and see how we can get better and learn from tonight. We had 15 turnovers between us too, and that's terrible. And we had 19 as a team, so that says our teammates kept the ball in their hands. We got to be better. So, I probably should go talk to him about that right now.
And last question, Brian Mahoney with the Associated Press.
Hey, Kevin, it's 10 games for you now. Your average is up over 30 points. I know you said you didn't have any expectations for how this would go, but as you evaluate it now, how do you explain being this good this fast after that kind of layoff you had?
Well, I got a long ways to go, and I got a good staff, teammates, training staff that put me in position every day to go out there and be the best that I can be. So it's 10 games in. We got 62 more. That's a long season ahead. Well, we got more than that. I missed a few games. Well, we had 13 games, 14 games. So we got a long season ahead of us, and I just want to keep putting together some good days, good weeks, good months, and see what happens.
Thanks so much.
Well, Kevin Durant has certainly come out of the gate strong. Most points in first 10 games with a new team. Only Wilt Chamberlain has scored more than Kevin Durant's 307 points through his first 10 games. Richard, listening to Kevin Durant, a couple things have definitely stood out, I think, to Nets fans getting to listen to him on a regular basis. First of all, just how bright he is. The basketball IQ, it certainly, it jumps out every time we hear from him. But what also jumps out, and I think we heard it a lot tonight, he deflects beyond just him, and in this case now James Harden and Kyrie Irving, and talks about, hey, we need more than that. We need to do everything as a team, and how specific he is with what he's going to need from the other guys on the roster.
Yeah, I think, Kevin Durant has grown so much as a leader, from, when he first came into the league in Seattle to his time in OKC winning the MVP to going on and winning 2 finals MVPs with the Golden State Warriors. And I think now, he's embarking on another challenge. We see so many superstars taking on another challenge, and this is definitely a different challenge. There's no doubt that when it comes to, who he is and the leader that he is, he's always going to lift up the other players. He understands how important, having Bruce Brown, having Joe Harris, getting Landry Shamet involved. He understands because that just makes his job easier. And so, when I listen to Kevin Durant speak, I also understand that this is an individual that wants to win another championship. We can say whatever we want, but he wants to prove to people, that he can win a championship, wherever he is, and he has the team around him to do it right now. Do they have a lot of room for improvement? Are there areas that they need to fix and address? 100%, but every team in the league is going to be better come game 72, come game 73 than they are today, and I think that should just be their goal, just growing and trying to get better over the course of this process.
Now we talk about former Oklahoma City teammates with James Harden and obviously Kevin Durant, but the other guy who is in that mix is Jeff Green, who's going to get a lot more time on the floor with team and as a small ball 5 at times as well, Richard.
Yeah, and look, Jeff Green is still so athletic. I think people underestimate his size because he is so mobile. He's closer to 6'9", but he's always run the floor extremely well. And even now, you look at it, he's got to be in, year 14, 15, maybe 16 for him, but he gives so much versatility. So he's going to be one of those guys that you look to defensively to help lift up this entire team.
Green with 10 points tonight. You see what that trio did back together again. I mean, how about that, Richard? Just what Jeff Green can bring to the table as a small ball 5 as the Nets try and navigate life post Jared Allen.
Yeah, no, there's going to be so much versatility. And again, when you talk about, I want to say Kevin Durant's first year in Golden State, there was conversation for him to become defensive player, or for him to be defensive player of the year. He was all team defense that year. That's where he's got to raise his level. I think it's very, very evident that he's going to be the exact same offensive force that we've seen since the moment that he came into this league. Yes, there might be some stuff with the Achilles that you just want to pay attention to. You don't want to overload him. You don't want to do too much as far as giving him a couple of days off, but he's that guy. And that was the one concern coming into the season is, could Kevin Durant return to a top 5 player? Could he return to a top 10 player? The Nets would still be ecstatic. Well, right now he's looking like a top 2 or 3 player in this league, and on any given night he could be the best player in the league.